So yesterday went back down to RJ Walker and got some pallets. In between the raindrops, I had a couple here. So I just got to make it work here that I don't stick out any further and make sure that I have enough room here on this corner that I can get my dump truck and F-150 through here for when I need to access this wood. I'm not moving that pile in the middle, so I won't be able, I mean, I could back the truck up to that point. That's about it. Then I got to throw it further. I'd rather be putting it in directly. Also, if I got to get that wood on the end down there. So you can see the sun's hitting here pretty good right now. Drying that wood out. Okay, so I measured 16 inches from here to there, and I'm going to put that in the back side of my pallet rack to fit down in there to keep the wood off the ground. So I just cut that pallet in half basically. We'll see how it fits. So what I just did is cut off a piece. I measured the end 17 inches, then I took another one off 17 inches. And this will just slide right in here. It'll fill that hole in. It'll be good and sturdy. And this is why TJ math doesn't work. That first log I measured is 18 inches, the second one is 17, and the third one is 16. So when you want to stack it in a certain area, having all different lengths is no fun when you don't have a lot of room. If you're just throwing it in a pile, then it doesn't matter. You can tell that one looks long just by looking at it. That's why these are such a pain when they come back too long. What do I do? I gotta throw them around, keep moving them. Short ones are easy. When you cut them the right length, I just take the short pieces, cut them up, and then they'll get burned in the garage. The ones that are too long, I gotta cut, then you gotta split, and you gotta handle it a bunch more times. So I don't know where I'm gonna get how much I'm getting done today. But my plan is to stack the wood just like I have that other wood stacked. And I'll try to go higher. One other good thing to do is to try to put a good pallet on the bottom. So when you're stacking the wood and you're stepping on it, like I can step in the middle of that and it's not going to break through. It's not a cheap pallet. This is nice and sturdy and strong, so you can get in here. You don't have to worry about your foot going through and tripping. So I'd always suggest to put your stronger pallets on the bottom. The weak, cheap, soft pallets, you could use those for sides if you're making a bin. Well, time to fire up the splitter. I'm going to try to move that splitter over here in the shade and just start splitting. The stuff that's pretty straight and easy to stack, I'll pile it over here. Anything that's got curves and angles and stuff, I'm just throwing on the other pile because I don't have to stack it. We'll see how far we get today. It's 9:30 now. I'll give you an update when I take my next break. Alright, this is Bill here at the woodshed. Couple of tips. When you're working with your wood splitter, make sure you got enough room to be able to stand so you're not tripping. Another tip I always like to have the wheelbarrow close by, because when I'm splitting my wood, as you can see, I kind of split it into thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, depending how big it is. And then as I split, I could throw those pieces in the wheelbarrow and I don't have to keep bending down to pick up. So sometimes you'll see me heap that wheelbarrow up and just try to knock out a bunch, and then I just come back and split them small and then toss them where I want to toss them. That's another tip, is to try and put your wood and plan it out in advance where you're going to be splitting it, so you don't have to be moving it a lot. So I picked this spot because I knew I was going to stack wood here and I was going to pile it over there. So my splitter's right in between and I can toss it to either side. Another safety tip is when you shut your splitter off, if you have an automatic return, make sure that the automatic return is not on when you shut it off, because what will happen is when you start the splitter up, it'll start moving, and you could easily be starting the splitter, and a lot of times, here's the pull cord, I'll put my hand here as I'm starting it. Well, if you don't realize it and you hear the noise going and you're not looking, this will come back and crush your fingers. So always make sure when you shut your splitter off that you have that automatic return shut off. And it could happen if you run it out of gas and you just might walk away and get your gas can. Or you just might be on this side of it and say I'm done and shut it off and not realize that that return is still turned on. So that's just an important safety tip, to make sure you shut that off. Every time you shut it off, and before you start it, I would check it to make sure that it's not turned on. And that's about all I got. Another safety thing is always wear gloves when you're splitting wood. And as you can see, I stopped the ram short because I didn't need to go all the way through on that piece of wood. So you got to make sure when you pick up your next piece of wood and swing it over that you don't smash your hand on that. So you got to always look and make sure. And that's why you want to wear gloves, because otherwise you'd bust your knuckles. I have gotten my finger whacked once or twice. As you can see, that nail got pinched. Just another safety thing I always think of when I was splitting. Another safety tip is, you could see my wedge wasn't high enough up to completely split that. So you can flip that over and split it, or you could split the next piece. And what you have to watch is that you don't get your fingers in here when you're holding the wood. When this splits, this is going to squeeze tight and you don't want to pinch your fingers off. So you always got to be watching where your hands are. A lot of times I'm trying to keep my hands on here flat like this, not where I'm stuck down in. Well, it took me 2 hours to get that split up, and then I have that top part piled up pretty high. Still got a long ways to go. Be back at it. Need some lunch. Quick update at the woodshed. The big mess pile is dwindling down, and due to lack of space, you can see I have that piled up pretty good there. I am now stacking.